injured before. We're live, by the way. I knew you'd been injured before, so I just assumed you would have used it, but I wasn't sure if you'd ever got it anywhere accidental or not.
So how did you injure your groin?
I don't know. It's been a little bit persistent. I've not ran since New Year's Day, and it was sort of hurting on New Year's Day, and I semi-regret doing it then. But like, yeah, it's still kind of, it's not too bad, but it's like, well, it also shouldn't feel like this. So yeah, but deep heat, it's a very, very strange thing, and I would really recommend people wash their hands after using it.
Yeah, it doesn't taste nice. I wouldn't get it on your hands.
It smells like my grandma always used to have this like tube in her purse that she used to call Grandma's Magic Cream.
Okay.
Which I think is probably a similar thing, kind of antiseptic cream, except hers she used on like nettle stings. She never rubbed it on my groin, obviously.
That would be a whole different story there.
Yeah, exactly.
One that we should avoid. Anyway, hello, welcome to Heroes of Handheld, a podcast dedicated to handheld gaming. I'm Colin, that's Chris. This is episode 204, I think. Are we 204?
Yeah, 204.
The big number, the big milestone, 204. Everyone's always wanting to get to 204. We talk about handheld gaming, so we like to talk about Switch, Vita, all things in between. Actually, not so much Vita, more Switch in hand and iOS and Android sometimes as well. But before we go any further, we haven't actually spoken about Pokemon Go for a while, and this is actually upsetting me because Pokemon Go used to be a staple of this podcast. So I'm under the impression that you probably don't have Pokemon Go anymore.
No, I still have it installed, but I don't really play it very often. I probably last opened it last week.
I'm well into it still. You know, it's the same as I always have been. Like now, I've got a new job, so when I walk to work, I go right past like 3 gyms and like 4 Pokestops, and there's like one gym that's right in the middle on the seafront, and because I walk really early in the morning. I can always like take it over in the morning, and then there's like
because everyone's like wound down overnight. Yeah.
So that's fun. But I don't think we've actually spoken about the new feature they added a couple of weeks ago. Must be about a month ago now. The VR, AR, whatever it's called.
We sort of spoke about it. AR. So we spoke about it when they announced it, but we haven't reviewed it since it's been put in. So if anyone's missed this.
Yeah,
you're not. There's a bit of kit in the iPhone which is called AR Plus, and the creators of Pokemon Go and Niantic managed to put in an update on Pokemon Go, which meant that you could use AR Plus for capturing Pokemon. This actually ties into a bit of news we've got this week as well, about iOS 11. But before that, AR Plus, basically the idea is that kind of for Pokemon Go. Previously, if you had AR mode on, so you were using the camera, it wasn't really very
good.
It's sort of basically if you moved, the Pokemon moved with you. So if you had AR on, and I was playing on my way home, and like a Pokemon spawned in front of me, it might look like it's there, but then as I would continue like unlocking the door into my house, it would like stay in the same place, even though your camera would obviously be changing what's behind it. So it would start off looking like the Pokemon's outside, and then it would end up looking like the Pokemon's inside. But what they've added with AR Plus is, well, it's kind of twofold, because there is a visual element, which is that the Pokemon now are mostly fixed to a geographic point, which is actually like, I don't know about you, Colin, but I think that's actually a really cool update and works really well. And what they've also added is a kind of game mechanic where you can increase your chances of catching Pokemon by sneaking up on them. So if you walk slowly toward the Pokemon, you're more likely to catch it. And there's a whole kind of metagame associated with that as well. How are you finding it?
I tried it when it first became available, and I've not used it since.
Oh, really?
I'm just not interested in it, you know. Like the way I play it, I just play it on the way to work, or whilst I'm at work or whatever, when people aren't looking. So I don't know, like walking around with my phone, going, like tiptoeing a bit closer to catch a Gulpin or whatever, really isn't of interest to me. I mean, it's a nice feature; it works really well. I mean, I did give it a go. I actually saw a video that was put on the Pokemon Go Reddit subreddit, and it was someone using the AR to catch a Dragonite. They managed to find a wild Dragonite, which is like amazing in itself. And oh my god, how patient this person had to be! Like, any movement, and you know, like there's that little speech mark, that little bubble that comes up above the Pokemon, like it shows you how alarmed they are, and when it gets to the top, like they're likely to run away or whatever. And like any sudden movement in this Dragonite, the bar would fill up, this bubble would fill up straight away. So he honestly, it was about a 3-minute video, I think, and he had to walk so slowly to get near enough to it, and then he was right next to it, he got it, and he got all the perks, like excellent throw and also top train or whatever. And he managed to catch a Dragonite in one hit, which was amazing anyway. How he managed to do that. But no, that was a really cool video actually, and it shows that some people, most people must obviously be enjoying it, but I don't know, it just isn't something that was, when it was announced, it was all a bit weird anyway. Like people hadn't been asking for an improvement to AR. Like there's so many other things that people want in Pokemon Go. It was a bit strange, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting move from them because, like you say, it's not what the people want, but like if it doesn't take much time to install, it's it's a cool thing to have on there. If you're kind of new to Pokemon Go as well, you would, or if you come back to Pokemon Go after playing it when it was first popular, you'd be like, oh shit, they've really improved that. And it is, like you say, certain people will get a lot out of it, but what the thing that I find kind of like really surprisingly impressive about Pokemon Go is how it continues to appeal to people who play it every hour of every day and also 1 hour a week. Like even though there's a lot wrong with the game and there's a lot that we don't like, that we spoke about on this podcast, and a lot of things that they talked about and kind of advertised when they first announced it that still aren't in. It is a game which, if you are, you can play it every like so often and be really hardcore and into all the stats and minutiae of it, or like you don't have to play like that at all, and you can just pick it up every now and then, like I do, and so I probably play it less than you do, Colin, and I'm still finding it like there's a reason that I haven't uninstalled it from my phone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's I don't know. Is it like comforting to know that you can go back whenever you like?
Yeah,
you like having that power.
Yeah, and it's like if you find yourself in an area where there's going to be people playing, it's like, oh, I might give it a go. What do you think of Gen 3's been out a little while now. It came out just before Christmas, and there's lots of Pokemon. What do you think of them?
I'm liking finding loads of new Pokemon. Because I live down by the seafront, I've got loads of the water Pokemon appearing at the moment, all the fish ones. There seems to be a lot more fish Pokemon in Gen 3 than in previous ones. But yeah, I'm liking it. It's that's one of the buzzes, isn't it, really, of Pokemon Go, is finding new Pokemon that you've not caught yet. That's one of the main draws to it. So I'm really liking it. And the fact, like, it's been out for quite a while, well, a fair bit of time now, Gen 3, and I'm still finding loads of new Pokemon spawning around where I am. I mean, I don't know whether they've increased, the spawn rate of some of the Pokemon, but there seems to be so many more Pokemon everywhere now. A lot more than there used to be, even in areas where there's not so much coverage or any gyms or anything. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'm still liking Pokemon Go. It's still the same as it ever was. I pick it up, I check it constantly. Well, not constantly, but I check it a lot every day. Always try and get those streaks. So yeah, long may that continue. And I hope we get some more updates soon. But you've got some news on Pokemon Go, I believe, haven't you, about people who can't play it anymore?
Yeah, so 2 days ago, Niantic put a post on their website. Pokemon Go to discontinue supports on Apple devices that are not capable of upgrading to iOS 11. This is a quote. Trainers, in an upcoming update to Pokemon Go, we will end support for Apple devices not capable of upgrading to iOS 11, such as iPhone 5 and iPhone 5C models. This change is as a result of improvements to Pokemon Go that push the application beyond the capabilities of the operating system on older devices. This change will take place on the 28th of February. After that date, trainers using affected devices may no longer be able to access their Pokemon Go accounts on that device or use their Pokemon coins on or other items in their bag. You'll need to switch to a device that can play it. There's more information on the Niantic Help Center. Interesting move from them. I mean, clearly they are wanting to push the game further than iOS 10 will allow them to do. But the only reason I kind of think that this is a bit of a shame is that, and I mean, I don't know, but I would imagine that there's a fair whack of the audience, like the player base for this game, are children who who, if they've got an iPhone. I mean, if a child's got an iPhone, that's kind of mixed anyway. But it's fairly possible that it's their parents' like older model that they've passed on to them, or they've got the 5C, because that was kind of marketed as like a sort of plastic, cheaper version than the 5 when that was popular. I mean, obviously, they are an expensive phone, but I wonder whether that audience and that player base might be quite affected in a negative way by this. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the numbers.
Well, the 5C came out in 2013, so the phone is it's about 4.5 years old, which isn't that old really. I still remember when the 5C came out. Yeah, because the big draw of that one, it was, as you said, a cheaper model. Well, they say cheap, it wasn't really that cheap. But then the big draw, wasn't it? There was like 5 different colors, wasn't there? You could have like a blue.
That sounds familiar. And it was different. Was it a plastic backing rather than like a metal backing?
I think that's what made it a bit cheaper, wasn't it? As the materials weren't as good. I mean, that's a shame. I mean, I'm a bit surprised. I mean, 5 and 5C aren't that old. I could understand, obviously. I don't know. I'm assuming that this means that Pokemon Go can't work on older models than the 5 and 5C then.
Yeah. Unless it can't go to iOS 11, it won't work. And I assume that presumably in the next month or so, there'll be, maybe later, but you would imagine there'd be a similar kind of announcement made for Android at some point, and only people up to a certain operating system can do it, because they obviously want to push the game in a way that is more technically demanding, and who knows what that could involve. But it's kind of, I mean, it is a shame because people will be cut out by this decision, but
I mean, it's like you said, a lot of children play it. I mean, it's actually actually it's completely how you say. Like a lot of children, they'll have an iPhone, or I say children, maybe young teens. They'll have like iPhones that are hand-me-downs from their parents or something. So an older generation, like their parents or whoever, will have like the newer one, and then they'll pass on the old one to their younger siblings. So I bet there are quite a lot of people who still play Pokemon Go on the 5 or 5C. So. Be interesting to see whether, I mean, this story came out a couple of days ago now. I don't know how much of a backlash there's been. Obviously, Pokemon Go isn't as popular as it used to be in terms of players. But yeah, I mean, it is a shame, but I'm sure if people have iPhones and stuff, I'm sure they'll just get a new one.
But also, like, at least Niantic have come out and said that it's with more than a month and a half in advance. Like, that's quite a long time, because what they could have done is not said anything, and then the game would have, an update would have come out in February, March time, and people would have been like, oh, well, this isn't running on my 5C anymore. So it's kind of like, they're giving people an opportunity to spend their Poke Coins to kind of close their accounts if they're not going to get a new phone. I mean, it's not the best of moves, but I can kind of see why they've announced it.
Just having a look. These are on the right in their bags. Yeah, it's good that they've notified people. When is it happening? In February, end of February.
28th of February. Yeah.
So got a bit of time, I guess. So we've got a month and a half to buy a new iPhone or new iPad. Get on it, people. But talking about old iPhones and old Apple devices that are obsolete, I think, everyone's been talking about this over the past few months about Apple. I mean, everyone knew this anyway. Everyone knew that older iPhones, older iPads, every time an update came out, the device seemed to slow down. And I think it was like everyone knew, but it just hadn't been confirmed by Apple, that when you get a new update on your phone, it slows down older models of the iPhone. I think we've even discussed it on this podcast before, and I'm pretty sure most people knew about this. I mean, I've got an original iPad, the iPad Mini, the original one, and honestly, it's so slow. It's unusable. You can't use it. It's just ridiculously slow. And obviously, it's in fairly good condition. It's being looked after quite well. But then the more updates that were put on it, the slower it became. And, people were a bit suspicious. But a couple of months ago, we didn't actually talk about this, I don't think, when Apple actually announced that when new softwares and new iOSs are downloaded, it slows down older iPhones. I don't think we did talk about
I think
this.
it fell in the gap, didn't it? It fell in our Christmas gap.
Yeah, and it was amazing that Apple actually admitted this. But obviously there's been discussions about this. And I think Apple did offer a form of compensation, didn't they, to iPhone users? Because I think the options that they have is either get a new phone or you can update the battery. Because I think the reason they gave for it slowing down older iPhones and older iPads is because of the phone's battery performance diminishing over time, or something along those lines, saying that the batteries that they put into these phones don't last that long. They only last a couple of years. Why they've only got batteries that don't last that long is just ridiculous when it's a company like Apple. It's all part. It's so obvious that they just want you to buy a new phone. They think like having the same phone for 2 years is ridiculous, and they want you to have a new. It's so obvious, and I'm amazed that they actually admitted this. But anyway, so this was admitted back in December about how old iPhones are slower because the iOS updates and software updates slow them down. But a investigation has begun in France. French prosecutors have launched a probe over allegations of planned obsolescence in Apple's iPhones. Under French law, it is a crime to intentionally shorten lifespan of a product with the aim of making customers replace it. So they're trying to do legal proceedings here. It's been led by the Economy Ministry's Consumer Protection Agency. It follows a legal complaint filed in December by pro-consumer group Stop Planned Obsolescence, or HOP for short. That's a great. Why HOP? Like that's not an abbreviation. That's strange. Anyway, HOP said France was the third country to investigate Apple after Israel and the US, but the only one in which the alleged offence was a crime. Penalties could include up to 5% of annual turnover or even a jail term. Who's going to go to jail? What? Are they just going to put the iPhones in prison? Who? I mean, obviously, Apple are a massive company and they've got their fingers in a lot of pies. There's no chance that anyone would go to jail. But who do you reckon, if say someone in Apple, say this prosecution was to go through and they are found guilty, who would go to prison, Chris?
Well, it's not necessarily there's different types of crime, aren't there? Because this doesn't necessarily fall into the category of like a legal. It's like it would be like a civil crime, wouldn't it, rather than a legal crime? Or do you know what I mean? It would be a whopping fine.
Well, it is illegal. It is a legal crime because what they've done is illegal in France under French law.
Yeah, but that they've not necessarily. I don't know if anyone will go to prison as much as the company would have to pay a whopping fine. Is what I mean.
That's what it'll be.
Yeah. Prison is for like murdering and that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer, Colin, but I can't imagine like it's hardly
Objection. Yeah.
Crime, isn't it?
Anyway, a quote from the group. They said the slowing down of older devices seems to have the deliberate aim of pushing Apple customers towards purchasing the new model. Hop have previously filed legal complaints against printer manufacturers Epson, Canon, HP, and Brother, alleging that the firms deliberately shorten the life of print cartridges. But it doesn't say here whether they won or actually took those people to town. So there you go. So it'll be interesting to see. We had a similar thing recently with Battlefront 2. There was a country that was trying to sue them or something because they were the loot crate system. They were saying it was a form of gambling. What country was that? Was that Switzerland? In Europe.
It was a European country, wasn't it? I don't think the country was trying to sue them though. I think it was like to do with revealing the odds, isn't it, of what you get in a loot crate. I mean, the whole thing is messy, and maybe we should do more research before, and maybe Colin should put away that Harry Potter colouring book.
I love the magnet clip. It's so satisfying.
Oh, great. Well, I'm sure our listeners at home are really enjoying hearing that.
Do you remember when fidget spinners were a thing?
Yeah. Where's yours?
In my bedroom.
Is it?
My bedside table. So first thing I do when I wake up is go...
Bet your partner loves that first thing in the morning.
Yeah, and then I pick up my fidget spinner afterwards. Anyway, right, let's move on, shall we? Let's talk now. Now we both have Nintendo Switches now. Very exciting, very exciting.
Yes.
And I got a special delivery late last week from a Mr. Pearson. Very kindly gave me his Apple Switch, Nintendo Switch carry case, which I used over the weekend and was very good. It's very nice. Thank you very much for that.
Good.
It's lovely.
That's all right.
And you also packaged in Zelda as well, which is very nice, and a picture of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which made my day. But in terms of Zelda, I've been playing a bit of it. I've not played too much. I've probably played about an hour or so, maybe a bit less.
Are you off the tutorial island yet, or are you still doing tutorials?
I didn't know it was a tutorial island. How do you know?
Okay.
I'm looking for caves or orbs.
Mate, you're looking for shrines. You'd know if you were off tutorial island.
Yeah,
are you enjoying it so far?
It's okay. It really you're straight in, aren't you, in that game? Like you wake up and then you're straight into the game. There's no like hand holding period, and it's the first thing obviously in the game. You see how big it is. It's a beautiful, beautiful land. I do like how it goes from night to day. That's very nice. I do like
Mm.
games like that. A quick question. Firstly, how can you get from the bottom of that tower quickly? Because it's very annoying getting up and down there. Obviously, you can teleport up to the top, but getting down is a nightmare. And many a time
Yeah.
I've jumped off and killed myself.
Yeah, that'll become clear. You at the moment you just have to climb. You have to jump down on the platforms.
I'm sure, assuming it's the paraglider thing that the guy won't give me.
What you can do as well, is if you're at the top of something, you can start climbing, and then drop, and then start climbing again towards the bottom, and like kind of abseil your way down, like drop and grab and drop and grab and drop. I'm pretty sure you can do that. Try that.
Yeah, I will try that and hopefully die. Yeah. But I mean, it's nice. It's a good game. I'm hunting some more shrines. So I've one question for you. I tried to go through this bit to find another shrine, and it said the temperature was too cold, and I was losing life. So how can I stop that? How can I not die?
You need to either find someone who will teach you a recipe to make some sort of, you can take some sort of potion or eat some food that will raise your internal body temperature, because there's a temperature gauge on the heads up display in the bottom, or you can find cloves that will get you through there as well. But I would suggest trying to find someone who might be able to help you out with a recipe. But the thing is, Colin, I'm not going to answer any more questions like that, because part of the fun of that Zelda game is finding your own explanations and solutions to things like that, to obstacles.
So at the stage,
because you're still on the tutorial, I'm okay.
Would you recommend I just wander around and find things? Is that what I need to do, or are there certain points where I need to go to? Because I have to find these shrines, and I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm looking through like the big on top of the tower.
Yeah. So did you, when you were on top of the tower, did you have a look around with the kind of zoom in?
Yeah, I did. But I couldn't. Yeah, but I couldn't. I saw some things that were glowing orange or glowing whatever, but loads of them were like out of reach and in places I couldn't get to.
Yeah. So you need to have a proper look from up there. Have a little explore of that island, but trust me, it'll take you about an hour more to get off that, and then you'll be in the main meat of the game. And then once you're off the island, that's when you can just wander and do whatever you want.
Oh, I thought like I was already in the main land. Like that's all it was.
No, you're kind of in the preschool, and you're about to graduate to secondary school.
Oh, it's exciting. Well, I'm enjoying it. You know, considering I've never played the Zelda game before, it's fun. It's very easy to pick up as well. The controls are very nice, and it runs very smoothly. I do like the shrine challenges, or obstacles, whatever they're called when you go in. They're quite fun to tackle. But yeah, really enjoying it. But we must also discuss our epic Rocket League match last week, which was hella fun.
Oh, it was so good, wasn't it? I really properly enjoyed that.
It was really fun. It just shows how good the Switch is and how fun Rocket League is, and how those two together are just amazing. But it was really good because Chris stormed into a 2-game lead, and then he decided to change it up, and then we ended up playing with a hockey puck.
Yeah, we did. We were doing one-on-ones, and we did 2 normal football games. And I won them both. And then
it was close though. It was like 3-2 and 4-3.
Yeah,
very close game.
The first one wasn't very close, but after that it got quite close.
Yeah, because I was trying to get used to the controls because I haven't played it that much. Yeah. After that first one, but then you changed it up a little bit, thinking, oh, you got a bit cocky, and then we tried doing the hoops. And then that lasted way too long. That one's really difficult.
Hoops is really hard, isn't it? Because you can't. It's so hard to get the ball into the air like accurately. It's probably easier when there's more of you. But then we did so you won that eventually. It took
2-1, wasn't it? Because we're in overtime for like 4 minutes before we could actually get a win.
Then we did the hockey, and I think you beat me at hockey, didn't you?
Just a little bit. I beat you like 10-1 or something ridiculous. It's got a bit of a joke towards the end.
So then we did one final decider, and that was on the main football. That was on main football mode. And Colin, who won? Tell the people.
What was the score again? Chris won. It was like 5-4 or something, wasn't it?
I think it was 3-2.
Wasn't it that game where like there was one game, I can't remember, we were drawing and like it was 3-3, there was like 10 seconds to go, and I was like steaming towards goal with the ball. And I was going so fast, you were nowhere to be. Says like, "Yep, got the win." So I hit the ball off, and then I turned off to a victory lap. And out of nowhere, you just go jumping out of nowhere and just whack it out the way. Oh, It's so
It's
good.
it's a really exciting game, isn't it? When you really get into the swing of like, and one-on-one is really hard as well because you have to very quickly go from offense to defense and kind of move your way around the court.
It's very important. I found out the best technique is when the ball's up in the air or on the edge of the map when it goes up the ramp. It's best to just hang back and wait to see where it lands. Because if you go chasing after it, chances are it's going to bounce over you and then you're going to be stuck. We should play tonight. Let's play tonight. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, we could just have just one, couldn't we? Just one. Just one.
Maybe.
Let's do some. Should we do some Switch news whilst we're talking Switch?
Yes, I want to talk about the Nintendo Direct Mini. People were speculating this was coming, but then they surprised everyone by releasing it today. Perfect.
Yes, and it was it'd been long rumored, and like the Nintendo accounts had all been winding people up on Twitter by sharing like
There's something burning, wasn't there? There was like
pictures
some burning character, and the people were going crazy over it.
There was one where they showed in Super Mario Odyssey. There's a bird that gives you clues, and they shared Nintendo on Twitter shared a picture of the bird with the caption that was like, "I know what you're looking for, and I know what you seek, and I know where it is." Ha ha ha, and stuff like that. So anyway, people were really expecting a direct with various like levels of expectations, but what we got was a direct mini. It's about a quarter of an hour long if you want to watch the whole thing. I've picked out some highlights, but there's a lot more. If you go actually on the Nintendo website, they've done a really good thing where they put the video up and they've done like timestamps for each game as well. So if you want to find out everything that got talked about, head on over there. But for me, the highlights of today's Nintendo
Right. So you got all the info, Chris. I'm just a bystander who's got the main bulk of facts. You've got all the details. So I want to tell you my top 3 things from all the games I've seen that have been announced, all the features.
Well, should we do a rundown and then you can do your top 3?
Or we can do my top 3 and then you give me more details on them. However you want to play it, Chris. Whatever you think will be best for the listening audience.
Let's do a rundown because I think that makes more sense. So first of all, they announced the World Ends With You Final Remix. The World Ends With You is a DS game which came out 10 years ago. It's a rhythm action game dealing with the end of the world, and on this new version of The World Ends With You, you're going to be battling using Joy-Con controllers or the touchscreen, and it comes out later on this year. It's like a HD re-release. Next was Pokken Tournament is getting DLC. The first patch will arrive. The first bit will arrive on the 31st of January, and will feature the fighter Aegislash as well as some new support Pokemon, including I think Rayquaza and Mimikyu. And then what's
the difference between this and Smash Bros?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you're being a dick, but in case you're not being a dick, Pokken is based on Tekken. It's a 1 versus 1, 2.5D fighting game. The levels are very flat, and it's all about combos and fast-paced action, whereas Smash Bros. Is much bigger. It's more of like a fighter platformer, and it features characters that aren't just in Pokemon.
Thank you for that.
That's your answer. That's all right. I didn't know if you're being silly or not. So yeah. Anyway, the latter wave will feature Mew as a support Pokemon and someone else I can't quite remember, and Blastoise is playable as well, which I'm really excited for. Kirby Star Allies is going to come to the Switch on March the 16th. Recruit enemies by hitting them with a friend heart. Play with 4 players. There's all sorts of mode and stuff. It looks like your kind of Kirby fare, which you know and love. Notice, Colin, I'm leaving a pause after each thing. By the way,
yeah, you've not listed my favorite things yet.
Dragon Quest Builders. The demo is available today. The game's already out on PS4 and other things, but you can play a demo on the Switch.
On Vita as well, I think. Dragon Quest Builders.
That sounds familiar, actually. Yeah. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, which is a new ultimate version of Hyrule Warriors, which came out last year for new Nintendo 3DS and Wii U. Mario Tennis Aces, which I'm really excited for. Yeah, I thought it might be. A new Mario Tennis game with a story mode, tennis gameplay you know and love, and it looks like it's developed by Camelot as well, which is great news if true, because Camelot have made the best Mario sports games. Comes out spring 2018. Colin, how excited are you for this?
I think it looks really fun. It's the sort of thing I would love to have on my Switch because I haven't got any party games yet. You know, obviously with the Wii, you got Wii Sports, so this will be something I'd really like. This sort of thing you can play in a group of others, and I do like the look of the story mode as well. I think that's quite fun. Look, from the clips they showed on the Direct, it looked quite interesting. I think there's one bit where he's battling the big plant with a tennis ball, which looked quite funny. Yeah, I'm dead keen for that. When's it coming out? When's that one coming out?
Spring 2018 is all they've said at the moment. Mario Tennis for N64 was I loved that game a lot. And obviously, there's been kind of various ones. I know the one that came out for last gen wasn't very well received, but some of the Mario Tennis games are really popular. So that comes out spring 2018. East 8, East being YS8, Lacrimosa of Dana comes out summer 2018 as JRPG of the week for that one. JRPG comes off the week, but it looks interesting. Super Mario, here's my favorite thing, Colin. Right, Super Mario Odyssey is getting a free update which comes out next month.
That's another thing I liked. That's one of the free.
And it's called Balloon World. So basically, what you do on Balloon World is it's a new version. It's a new kind of meta game to the single player where you will see Luigi hanging around at the start of a level. You'll say hi Luigi. He'll say hi Mario, and then you get a balloon, and you get 30 seconds to run somewhere and hide the balloon, and then other players online have to take your challenge of where it's like hide and seek, but kind of not at the same time. So you'll hide a balloon, and then other players can be playing at their time zone, and they'll be like, "Oh, my friend Chris has played hide the balloon. I'll try and find his balloon." And so it's like a mark of how well you know the levels, basically, and how quickly you can get to interesting places. Looks really cool. I'm really up for it.
The best bit is that it's free, completely free.
Update. And it comes with new filters for the in-game camera as well, so for snapshot mode, and new outfits, which look cool as well. February, and it's free.
Cool.
SNK Heroines Tag Team Frenzy comes out summer 2018.
Woo.
ACA Neo Geo Art of Fighting 2 is out today. It's a fighting game originally released in 1994. And it's out now. I've never played that, but it's interesting. Interesting if you're into that kind of thing. A new update for Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle comes out in spring, and DLC, they're not quite sure. They've hinted at it featuring DK. Payday 2. Colin, do you ever play Payday?
Now, this is interesting. Was this already announced, or was this like a new bit of information?
So Payday 2 has been announced. Payday 2 has been out.
Well, that's been out for a while. But is this the first time we knew about the Switch one? Is this the first bit of?
No, it's been. No. It was previously talked about for Switch, right, but they didn't have a set date.
Yeah, it's a weird one. You play it's like,
but now
it's a co-op game, isn't it? About robbing a bank or something.
It's the first one was about robbing banks. Then the second Payday, I played them both. I played the first one a lot more than the second one, but it's a co-op shooter where you're doing bad things. So the first one was robbing banks and stuff. Whereas the second one is a bit more intricate because you do missions which last over the course of several days. So, for example, in in Payday 2, there'll be some of my favorite missions include the one where you have to go to a meth lab and you have to cook meth, and then you have to get it all out whilst the police come and stuff like that.
Nice.
There's other there's other levels. I won't spoil them for you, but they kind of vary with the levels of intricacy. There's a really good one, and I think it's in the second one. Oh, maybe it's in the first one. Anyway, there are some really cool level design, but I know the thing is with Payday 2 is anytime you mention it in conversation, fans of that game, and fairly understandably, kick off because the second game was really, really shoddily handled in terms of microtransactions when it came to consoles. This was a really big thing. It was launched by Overkill Software, and it was really kind of the community for that game has really turned on it, but rightfully so in a lot of ways, because they introduced really kind of venomous microtransactions, and the way that you paid for things in that game became really kind of grim. But anyway,
30 downloadable pieces of content for Payday 2 since it came out. Fucking hell. Sorry, pardon my French. 30. Crazy.
Right. Since then, the game has been retaken over and is being developed by a different company. So it's still published by Starbreeze, still developed by Overkill, but I think a different company, I can't remember what way around it is, but a different company are handling it. So hopefully this will be a bit better than previously. But obviously, if you may want to wait and see what the microtransaction situation is for that game. But they also announced a new...
Well, there wouldn't be any microtransactions.
They announced a new character.
Would there? I can't see.
I don't know, Colin. I mean, they did it for the second one. They announced a new character as well, Joy, who's a hacker and who's going to be a timed exclusive for Payday 2 on Switch.
Oh, Joy.
Yeah, so that looks interesting. And it's got a release date as well, 27th February 2018. Next up is Fee, which is a platform adventure. Comes out 15th February 2018. I think it's made by EA, possibly.
Yeah, it
And
is.
you learn Animal Cry so that you can kind of manipulate the environment around you, work with birds, bears, and other things as well. Looks quite interesting. Celeste comes out 25th of February, a platform about climbing a mountain from the creators of
It
Towerfall.
sounded really interesting, Celeste. I've never heard of this before. Is it? It's a new game, is it, or is it one that's been?
I've not heard of it. It comes out 25th of January, so it comes out fairly soon. 600 levels, and they're calling it like a character. It's a personal character-driven story, so that's quite a cool way of describing
Yeah,
it.
it's not. It comes out this month. Oh, it's very cool.
Yeah.
I like the look of this one. I think this one looks quite fun.
600 plus levels as well. That's a lot.
Whoa,
And then
that's a lot.
almost at the end now. Penultimately, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze comes out 4th of May 2018. It's a HD re-release, and what I think is quite. I played Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on. There was a remaster version for Portable, and I liked that game, but I found it really hard. And what they've announced for this is a mode where you can play as Funky Kong. Funky Kong will have his trusty surfboard, which means that basically he can kind of glide through levels and survive spikes and stuff. So it's
Oh my god, he is funky. Whoa.
yeah, and it's a slightly easier way of playing that game, hopefully. But finally, Colin, praise the sun, because Dark Souls Remastered comes to Nintendo Switch in an all 25th of May 2018, includes a main game, includes Artorias of the Abyss DLC, is getting a full whacking re-release on Nintendo Switch and other platforms as well.
But surely this is
I'm really excited for this.
because this will make you throw your Switch. It'll make you throw your Switch in frustration because you'll keep dying over and over again.
Oh, I don't care. I would love to play Dark Souls on Switch. That sounds like a really good deal.
From what I know about Dark Souls, isn't it like you run around a big medieval world and you fight loads of massive beasts and you die a lot and then you do it again and again and again? And it's like really
I've played the first hour of Demon Souls, which is the one that came before Dark Souls. I've played the first 2 hours of that game maybe 4 times as different classes, and every time I get a little bit far, and every time it gets too hard for me and I quit. But I am really
happen again.
It's so, I mean, it is hard, like it's incredibly hardcore, but it's also like kind of it's that hardcore because it's accurate, right? So you don't have enemies that well, you have bosses that are really hard, but it's got a fighting system that's kind of severe and quite punishing, but it sort of makes sense in that universe because in other games you can survive being hit by a sword in the head 4 or 5 times, and in Dark Souls it's like, nope, you died, back you go. So
which is good but bad at the same time. So I think it's good that they're continuing this diverse range of games that are coming out to Switch, which I like. This is in the same ilk as Skyrim, really, isn't it? That's sort of
and you know, I think it's really promising. You can read up on this on the Nintendo website. I'm also going to embed a link on our website to the Switch subreddit where I use the Samagon the Swift put together a really good piece of kind of rundown on there. So do check it out. But we'd love to know what your highlights were from the Switch Direct. Tweet us at Handheld Podcast. Your last little bits of Switch news, Colin. Whilst I've got your attention, even though you're on your phone, but whilst the listeners are listening, is that the Nintendo Switch Splatoon 2 Neon Pink and Neon Green Joy-Cons will be coming out in America later on this month. My flatmate has already got these. They're already out in the UK, and they are just as gross looking as you might expect. But, you know, some people want pink and green, so that's kind of cool, I guess. And Darkest Dungeon hits Nintendo eShop January 18th. This is a really cool little game, and they're also planning on putting the DLCs in there later on as well. And it looks very interesting. It's going to come out in Nintendo America and Nintendo Europe. The base game is going to be $25. Then the first bit of DLC, the Crimson Core, is going to be $9.99. Second bit, the Shieldbreaker, is going to be $4. Coming out on eShop January the 18th. So look forward to that. I don't know. Have you played Darkest Dungeon?
I've not played it, but I remember when it came out on PlayStation Vita back in 2016. And I think what's interesting about this, you have like a crew and you have to keep them more up and keep them well fed and keep them healthy, because if the big demon things don't kill them, like natural causes will kill them. Like things like heart attacks and stuff like that, and like gout and starvation. So
you have to monitor their sort of stress, don't you, and their well-being.
Yeah, because they can have heart attacks if they're too stressed. So it's an interesting little game. I remember there's a lot of hype about it. The art style is very gothic and very dark, but I think this will look really nice on the Switch, especially in the handheld mode. I think it's a perfect fit. So that's very good.
Yeah, excited for that.
Excited to be good. So yeah, some good games there. I mean, the fact some people were talking on the Nintendo Switch subreddit that the fact it's called a mini, it's called a mini Nintendo Direct. Could this mean that there is another one coming, which would be bigger?
No, stop. See, this is exactly the problem, right? Exactly the problem with Nintendo Direct, and you're part of the problem.
Thanks.
It's because people build their expectations up far too high. Like we get 5 or 6 of these a year, and yet people still think that everyone is going to announce like a huge new game.
Where's the
I
Smash
just think
Bros? Where's the Pokemon? Where's the Rockstar games that we were promised, Chris? Where are
they
they?
don't want to talk about it yet. That's fine. Let them talk about it when they're ready to talk about it. You're part of the problem. You are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit disappointed by this Direct. I mean, there's some interesting games there, but a lot of them are ones that I'm not that interested in, to be fair. But it's just good that there are more games coming, and Dark Souls and Mario Tennis, the two highlights, I would say, the two big ones.
Yeah, the thing for me is I'm not disappointed by it. I'm just surprised that they wound people up to this level for these announcements, because like there was a lot of winding people, winding up on Twitter and social media and stuff. And I kind of feel like it's a shame that they didn't like, I think there are really interesting and good announcements and some good new games as well, but it's a lot of like it doesn't give me a reason to be excited really beyond spring 2018, which is kind of a shame, because I hoped that it would be kind of here's what's going on for the rest of the year, whereas actually it's more like here's what's coming out in the next few months, which is fine because it's some cool stuff, but
yeah,
a bit tricky.
We wait and see what else we got. We wait to hear the Grand Theft Auto release date at some point in the future.
I wouldn't count on it.
Oh boy, let's quickly do some very small PlayStation Vita news. Just quickly wanted to mention the fact that Phantasy Star Online 2, which is actually coming to Nintendo Switch soon. I think it's in like a couple of months' time, or it might already be out. I'm not sure. Just wanted to give it a shout out because downloads for the PlayStation Vita version have reached 1.5 million. So this game is only available in Japan at the moment. And to celebrate the milestone, Sega is hosting a PS Vita version 1.5 million download commemoration campaign starting late January. Details, including the content of the campaign and its official dates, will be announced at a later date, and it's going to be announced through their official website. So it first launched back in 2012 on PC, came out to Vita in 2013, and it comes out in different episodes. The latest one released July last year. So I just thought that's very interesting. That's got such high downloads there, and I'm sure when it comes out on Switch as well, it'll be just as popular. Massive battling, a bit like Dark Souls. A lot of big beasties you have to fight. You have a crew of people and you've got big swords and wands and things like that. So there you go. That's what I've got for you. I swear there's something else that's going to talk about. Have I been playing a mobile game this week? I'm trying to think. Have I been playing it? No, I actually haven't. I've still been playing that Twisty Road game. I've actually got back into Hearthstone recently.
Definitely played Hearthstone.
I played it when it first came out years ago, whenever it was. I had it on iPad, and then I just couldn't get along with it, so I gave up. But now I've downloaded it again on my phone, and I'm actually enjoying it. I'm still doing the tutorial levels, trying to like learn the ways of the game and stuff. But it's actually really addictive, so I'm looking forward to playing online at some point and probably getting obliterated. It reminds me of when I had Pokemon X on my 2DS. God bless, God bless its soul. And I went straight online with like these really rubbish, like I can't remember, like Frogget or something. That Pokemon, which is a frog, and those other really crappy Pokemon. And like I got matched up against like level 99, like really rare Pokemon, and I got destroyed in one hit for each one. Makes you think of that. That's probably what would happen in Hearthstone. If I went into a game, I'd probably go against some like amazing magician with Hearthstone and get obliterated straight away. But it's fun. I want to practice a bit more on Hearthstone, and then I want to go and play people online and try and win.
I've got something to quickly talk about.
Yeah.
Only quick, because I've not played a great deal of it, but away from the handhelds and all that kind of stuff, because we do have a life outside of handhelds. I've actually been playing something on PS4 which might interest you. I've finally bit the bullet and started playing Destiny 2.
I saw that you had a download, update of like 3 hours. So I hadn't played the first Destiny,
and this is I saw this on sale for like 20 quid, and I'd played the trial, and I was like, oh, I'll give this a go. That game is the gunplay on that game is so solid. Like,
is the
it
story
feels
actually
so
good?
good to play.
Is there actually
Well,
a decent story this time, which isn't
yeah,
like that actually makes sense?
who cares? Like, it's just really fun to play, and I don't know really what's going on in the story because I don't know. I didn't play the first one, so that's not the game's fault. That's my fault for not playing the first one. But like, it's just so fun, and it's so smooth to play, and like, you connect with people online seamlessly, and like, there's always stuff happening in the servers. I've not experienced any emptiness yet. I thought I was a bit worried that, as someone who, like, my friends who play it are really far ahead, and I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to play with them. But you can just play with randos, and it's just really good.
So
Like,
what do you do in the game? Give me an outline of what you do in Destiny.
I mean, that right, okay, so it's a first-person shooter. You play as one of three classes: is a Titan, a Warlock, or a Hunter. I'm a Titan, which is like the kind of grunt class, the kind of like beefy soldier type. And it's like, I guess I would most compare it to RuneScape, except it's not an RPG, it's a shooter. So you go into these planets, and like, there's other people running around, and some of them are doing the same mission that you're doing, some of them aren't. You get different missions, so you're all at different stages, but there's also like kind of community online events. So someone will plant a flag in the ground and say, oh, everyone on the planet rally here, then we'll go and help out. And that's quite good fun. There's like, you're constantly changing between weapons and bits of armor and new guns because you've got different types of weapon. You've got different like powers you can upgrade. It's kind of like Borderlands meets RuneScape. And it's just a blast to play. It's just so satisfying and so fun that I don't really mind that I don't understand what's going on in the story.
Oh, I don't know. I need to understand what's going on. It makes me...
Why though? If it's fun, like, who cares? I mean, there is a story there that's kind of interesting, but I just, I don't think I'm ever going to get it because I didn't play number one. But it's all right, I'd recommend it, especially it's only 20 quid as well. That's a steal.
I think the thing that's always like stained my thoughts on Destiny is how the first one came out. People were a bit annoyed because the story didn't make much sense, and then they said they were going to be releasing DLC with more of the story. So basically, you're paying the premium price for this game, and then the main bulk of the story was hidden behind these paywalls. And I remember Bungie said that they were going to spend like 5, 6, 7 years or something like that on this game, just developing and making it bigger.
10-year plan and stuff, didn't they?
And then they just
didn't quite hit that.
No, it was like 3, 4 years, wasn't it? And then the new game came out. It's like, yeah, don't really trust you. I need a good story. Like, fair enough if it's fun to play, but it's always nice to have a overlaying interesting story to keep you going. Like, I'm sure that's what happened with Zelda. I'm sure there's a main quest in there.
I'm sure you'll get lots of story from Zelda.
What? Oh, great. Here we go. Anyway, let's go play Rocket League. So let's talk about group chat.
Yeah, let's talk about group chat.
So,
it's your topic, mate.
Huh?
You're the one who wanted to know, buddy.
Well, the group chat for last week was, what are some under-the-radar Switch titles that Colin should be playing? We had a lovely tweet from our good friend, Ethel the Frog, this week. He recommended a few games. So we've got, he said, as for under the radar titles, I'd recommend Golf Story. I remember you spoke about this. That's a RPG golf game.
Golf RPG, yeah. I've not played it, but I'm glad to hear that people like it.
How much is that? We'll have to have a look actually and see how much it is. I like golf games. If there's a story, I'd love it. Steamworld Dig. A lot of people love that game, and that was on Vita. They both did well, but it's been a few months now, so they're not really mentioned much anymore. I think Golf Story should appeal. It's got a pretty decent golf game in there with a silly story to boot. That really does interest me because I like my golf games and I like a game with a good story. So I will definitely check that out. And we also had some more suggestions from our good pal Ethel. He also said More Fight is worth a look, and Gorogoa is an excellent, if short, puzzle game. Guna, if you like a challenge too. Now, I'm sort of over puzzle games a bit, I think I was sort of all puzzled out for the PlayStation Vita because there's so many puzzle games on there. I think I just need a break from them. I just want a good game where you can go and explore and fight and throw bombs at things, like in Zelda. Woo! Or just kick a big metal ball around in a massive arena. That's what I want. So there's some good suggestions there. I mean, Chris, you had Switch a lot longer than me. What game do you recommend? Give me one game that you think I would like and isn't too expensive because I'm a cheapskate.
You are a cheapskate. Well, I would normally say Rocket League, But we've
Got
already
Rocket
covered
League.
that.
Yeah.
The gem for me is Stardew Valley, which is just so good, and it's a RPG farming game,
Yeah.
which sounds a little bit pants, but the thing is, it's all made by one person, and the writing in this game is just incredible. There's so much going on in this little village that you move into, because it's like you think, oh, you meet this guy and he's kind of he's the stereotypical jock, and then you meet this girl and she's the stereotypical kind of hyperactive fairy girl, whatever the phrase is, manic pixie dream girl. But there's so much going on, and there's some quite dark stories hidden in there as well. There's some really addictive gameplay, and it's like I would really recommend checking out, like, to anyone. It takes a couple of hours to get in the swing of it, and you'll spend your first few hours like, what am I doing? And then you have to get into a certain frame of mind. But Stardew Valley is so good. It's so compelling, and it's a really recommended play for me.
Mm.
Mm.
Now, farming, I do like farming. You remember that farming game I recommended a few weeks ago? That game I used to play when I was younger.
Yeah,
farming game, the Playmobil game.
Yeah, the one you spent $2,000 on in a month.
No, that was Habbo Hotel.
Oh, sorry.
Get it right.
Was it $2,000? Remind me.
No, it must be about 500. It wasn't. I don't know. Maybe
it's the 500.
Maybe we did reach $1,000. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on. Let's go play some Rocket League, Chris.
We've not set next week's group chat, and I've got a good one.
What have you got then? Tell me.
I want to play a game with you, Colin.
I
want to play Shag Marry Avoid.
Right.
Which is a British institution, and I'm asking you: Sonic, Mario, and Crash. Shag Marry Avoid. Don't tell me now. Tell me next week.
Right. Okay. This is a bit of a curveball. I like where this is going, though.
It's a bit of a different one from what we'd normally do, but I just think it's nice to shake things up,
Nice. I like it. So, everyone needs to give their opinion on this as well. So, how can people let us know what they think?
Twitter is @handheld podcast. We've got a Facebook page where you can search Heroes of Handheld. We've got an email address, which is easy peasy. It's just heroesofhandheld@gmail.com. You can also write on our website, heroesofhandheld.wordpress.com. If you go over there, you'll be able to find a little bit more information as well. But yeah, Snog, Mario, Void, Mario, Sonic, Crash.
Nice.
Easy peasy.
Oh, I do like Crash. He's very furry. I'm interested. I actually can't wait for our people's opinions on this now. Thoughts next week. It's going to be very intriguing. Right. So, shall we get out of it?
Yeah, man. Are we actually playing Rocket League?
I would like to.
Okay.
Once I've done all the podcasting bits, I'll play Switch in the handheld mode, and I'll play it. It'll be very fun. I'll let you know.
Just let me know. Just have a couple. I might be on Destiny, to be fair, so you'll have to get your bid in quick.
Fuck that. Right. Okay. Thank you for listening, everybody. We're back next week, probably same time, because I think we're doing a cheeky Thursday episode again next week. So, thank you for listening, everybody. We've been Heroes of Handheld. We'll be back next week. Love you. Bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye. Bye. Oh, I need to press stop, don't I? Because I'm in control.
Yes.
I'm in control.